Hey there, welcome to the Shermichael Singleton Show on YouTube. But if you're also listening to this show, you can listen to us on podcast by downloading the Stitcher app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you may download your podcast. You will find the Shermichael Singleton Show there exclusively with some guests you may have heard of and some you may not have heard of. Nevertheless, you don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that alert bell to get notifications of our future uploads. Also, whether it's Stitcher, Apple Podcast, or wherever you may find your podcast, make sure you subscribe to our podcast because it does help us move up in the ranks. If you like what you're listening to, you can also find me on SiriusXM Urban View channel 126 every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm excited about the guests that I have on the show today. This is the very first show, the inaugural episode, if you will. And this guy here is in many ways, he's a cultural warrior, if you will. He is someone who cares deeply about his community, deeply about his family, and trying to move the needle forward. And it's why, as I thought about who would be the first guest for the first show, I said to myself, why not highlight someone who's really doing good work and positive things in their community to make the place better? I think right now, you turn on the news, you listen to the radio, everything seems to be so negative. But there are positive stories. We just don't oftentimes look hard enough to find and discover them, which is why on the first episode of the Shermichael Singleton Show, exclusively on YouTube and also audio-wise on podcast, Apple, Stitcher, I wanted to bring you guys someone who is doing some good things. I wanted to bring you some good news. If you've ever seen The Wiz, there's a song that says, "No one bring me any bad news." And so I'm going to try my best on this episode to fill you up with positivity. I'm excited about my friend here, Mark Manley, also known as Mark Choppa. He's a community activist. He's a firearms instructor who has focused and dedicated so much of his time with working with young people in the African-American community to help them redirect their anger, individuals who were recently incarcerated, back into the community, trying to help many of those guys who I've actually had the opportunity to talk with, guiding them on a better path, whether it's finding employment, getting skill sets that will allow them to be members of society and members of the community and members of their own families that are giving back versus taking. Because one thing about Mark is he's a guy who certainly gives far more than what he takes. Mark, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Sherm.
I'm excited about this, man, because guys, Mark is going to be on my SiriusXM radio show this upcoming Saturday, live from 2 to 3 p.m. And we decided when we kept playing around, what's the best time to drop this video? We said, well, you know what? Why not do this the week of the upcoming interview? So if you like anything that you hear, drop comments, of course, but you can also tune in this upcoming Saturday. I don't even know the date. I should probably take a look at my phone here to make sure I'm getting the dates proper. What is that? February 25th. So make sure you tune in February 25th from 2 to 3 p.m. SiriusXM channel Urban View, channel 126 to listen to my live interview with Mark. But Mark, you know, when I thought about who I wanted on this very first show, I could have gone in a lot of different directions. And I thought about going political because I know a lot of political people. I thought, well, maybe someone out of entertainment because I can, maybe try to call some friends, get a really, really big name for my first video / podcast. And then I thought to myself, why not highlight someone who is a politician, who is a celebrity in your own right, who's well respected throughout Baltimore, but throughout the DMV, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia, for our viewers and listeners who aren't aware. But who is someone who also has a national growing profile. And you were the first person that came to mind because after meeting you, we came to your first Mark Choppa Range Day, Choppa Day, which we'll get into during the interview. And I met so many guys who talked about their experiences since they met you. Some guy said, Mark helped me find a job. Or I had one guy who said, when I was struggling and couldn't afford something, Mark gave me money. I'm not kidding you. I had a guy who told me this. He said, I wouldn't really say this to anyone, but he's a good brother. Or some of the women who said, I was in an abusive relationship and I decided to get into firearms to defend myself, to protect myself. I'm not a big gun person. I was afraid of guns, but I was alone. I didn't have someone. I went to Mark and he sort of became my big brother. You sort of become this I don't want to say an enigma, but you sort of become this figure for all people, no matter where they are in their lives, no matter what that intersection is. As we get into your background, what do you attribute that to? Like how did you sort of make the determination of I need to be this guy for the people in my community?
But I'll definitely want to just say my mom. You know, I want to bring her up. You know, my mother was an angel. You think of an angel, you think of the attributes or the characteristics of an angel, right? Someone who's just so humble, someone that's just so kind, someone who is always there for other people. And I think of my mom, and that is the way she has raised me and my brothers growing up. And I just feel like that has a lot to do with her for sure.
And I did have a chance to meet your mom, who is the nicest woman in the world, I got to say, for the record. So you talk about your mom and you talk about her being an angel. Those values that you sort of instill, that you have instilled in your children, the values that you exude when you're working with other people, did you see that growing up? Like was your mom constantly saying, you know, help others, always think about other people before yourself first, you know, be a leader, be selfless, like walk us through what was little Mark's life like?
Oh, she didn't ever say it. She didn't ever you know, direct us to being like that. She walked the walk. She walked in her growing up, you know, single moms, we didn't have much. You know, we was literally living in shelters, and my mother was still there for other people. She was there for her friends, her families, to strangers. And she showed us that you can call my mother and she would come running. And that's just how she was. And we witnessed this. Me and my brothers, we witnessed this. And like I said, we were literally living in homeless shelters growing up, all the way up until middle school. And to see my mother still have so much joy, still be so kind, still to have that humanity, and it's just it's something that you don't ever forget. It's instilled in you for the rest of your life.
What did you so thinking about that, Mark, growing up in homeless shelters, what was that experience like for you? Because you already are in a kind of a rough environment as a kid. You're thinking about your own dreams, your own ambitions. How did that sort of impact the person that you ultimately became?
Definitely got into a lot of fights for sure. If you can imagine us coming straight from a homeless shelter and going to school, you get talked about. We wearing the same shirts, the same jeans. You know, and my mother did the best she could. She was working 2 jobs and she was going to school. So I mean, it wasn't. It had anything to do with being lazy. It had to do with just, it was our journey. It was a process. And my mother, like I said, she was raising 3 boys on her own. And for us just to see that, to witness our mother getting up, getting us to school, picking us up from school. Sometimes she would be late. I mean, extremely late. She got an award for being like the most tardiest, you know.
The tardiest parent of the year.
Right? But you know, these administrators, these coaches, these teachers, they didn't know my mom's situation.
Yeah.
You know, she doing good. But I would never say it was a bad experience. It was more so a humbling and learning experience. You know, because I don't look at other people when they're doing in a bad spot and say, oh, you know, you put yourself there, you know, or you know, you know, get up, you know, I don't down anybody, you know, because the most beautiful people can land themselves in the most roughest spots.
This is true.
That's just life. So
No, that's a good point. And so do you think, in thinking about that experience, thinking about the bullying, thinking about already looking around you, knowing that there just wasn't a lot, you could have gone in any direction. I mean, you could have gone in some really, really bad directions, but you didn't.
yeah, I was headed in those directions. Like most of my friends are locked
Mhm.
up or dead, you know. And it goes back to my mother. You know,
Wow. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had a praying mother. We didn't walk out that door without praying. You know, we had somebody that was going to show up and make hold ourselves accountable as
Mhm.
children. You know, we had to apologize if we did something wrong. We had to go apologize. She was who literally drug us by the ear, and you want to apologize. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
that's something that we learned just to hold ourselves accountable as young men. And and growing up, yes, it was times where as though I got caught up in the neighborhood. I
Yeah.
got caught up in stuff. I got caught up in what you call the street life. Um, and it was a moment in my life where I had to choose me or I had to
Mhm.
choose my, and I chose me.
Talk,
I
talk
chose
about
me. I
talk
got
about like tell me about that moment. Like at what was it, something that happened? Were you at a particular place? Did you lose a friend? Like at what point did you say, you know, I can't go down this direction? Like if I go in this direction, I'm either going to be taken away from my mom, either in prison, or I may not even be alive. Like the two are bad either way, right? Like so at what
yeah,
point did you say, I got to do better than this. This isn't it.
yeah. Well, it was a time. It was in a three. It was like within like a 3 to 4 week span where three of my closest friends have got killed. All right.
Wow. Like so 1 week, one, the second week, 2, 3 weeks, like in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. And then I just remember a moment where I wanted to crash out. Crash
Yeah.
out mean so I wanted to do something crazy. I wanted to
Yeah.
do something, and I was really close to doing something crazy. And I chose not to. I chose to move on with my life and keep their name alive, of course, because I
Mhm.
love my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love my friends. We
What
all
what
we all
what Mark, what for people who've never gone through something like that of losing friends at a young age,
yeah
it's like we're all supposed to become fathers together, hopefully husbands together.
yeah.
What did that feel like? Like what did that loss feel like? What did it do to you as a man?
Oh man, I hate to say it, but it kind of like hardened me. Like
Yeah.
I got used to death. Uh, Death, especially violent deaths, became normal. The norm came the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
No,
got centralized.
and so do you think that when we think about other young people in our inner cities and the roads that many of them often choose, do you think many of them have been sort of put in a place where their futures were already robbed at an early age? And by that, let me just give you an example here.
Mhm.
One of the projects that I work on deals with education, and in Baltimore, by the way, and a lot of kids graduating high school, doing math, third grade level, barely can read. And I said to someone, I said, I can't fault these now young people who were
Yeah.
robbed of a future when they were younger people.
Yeah.
What other direction would they go? What
Right.
else would they do? I mean, because it becomes a certain point in time where it becomes really difficult to reverse the clock. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, when you see people in the community that you're clearly trying to save, at what point is there a point where you just say, I got to try to grab them early before it's too late? Like walk me through that, because you talked about what that experience did to you. You become hardened to death because you see it at such a young age. You become numb to it. It's like, okay, death, no big deal. That's
Yeah.
something that no young person or child should ever have to succumb or get used to. But that's the reality for so many people in cities all across the country.
Absolutely. It's the norm, especially with the kids these days. I have a relationship with quite a few inner city kids where I keep in contact with. I try to do my best to mentor them and guide them and offer different programs or outlets. Is one of my go-tos, because I know growing up, that's what did wonders for me. Just staying busy, having an outlet to go release those endorphins, and just to, because stress kills, right? Stress kills. We want to focus on that. We want to keep those stress levels down, and we want to get these kids active, and we want to get their minds off what's going on around them, and for them to focus on something, whether it's basketball, boxing, firearms, and competition shooting and stuff like that, and just to keep their focus on something other than the neighborhood or what's going on, because their friends are dying, their friends are shooting people, their friends are getting shot. They may have been shot. Quite a few of these kids I deal with, we're talking about 13, 14, 15 years old, have already had been a victim of gun violence. So that just says a lot. I mean, it's the environment that they're put in. That's the environment they're put in, and they have nowhere to go. So
well, Mark, what do you not to cut you off, but I want to get your thoughts, because I think you're going in a really important direction here in what you're saying. How important is it for people to understand the experience of these young people? Like what are these kids going through? Because I get it, you get it. I think some of our listeners may get it, and some of the viewers who may watch this video will get it. But some people may say, this is foreign to me. I don't understand this at all.
Yeah. It's going to take a village. It's not just going to take me, you, and a lot of good brothers and sisters that stand up in the community and say, "Hey, we got to do something." It's going to take a village. It's going to take us to really educate ourselves what's going on in their communities, and to come up with solutions. And I think that's important.
Do you think that these young people are yearning for help? Because you work with so many.
Absolutely. My wife will tell you, I get calls every day, every single day, different situations. At times I have to take a moment and just not answer my phone, and that's just that's just the extreme of how many calls I get a day from the youth. With different scenarios, different situations, or just as little as hey, I'm starving. I am hungry. I don't have food. I need to figure out how I'm going to eat. I need to figure out how I'm going to feed my little sister. I need to figure out how I'm going to feed my little brother. And these are teenagers, young teens, taking on these responsibilities because the mother is either locked up on drugs, or the father is out of the household. And these are issues that they're taking on themselves. And it's not fair. It's not fair to them. And like I said, it's going to take more of us, because I'm only one man. You're only one man. And there's a lot of brothers and sisters that are standing up and trying to be there for them. But we need to come together as leaders and to come up with a firm solution and action where we can actually assist a lot of these kids in the inner city, especially Baltimore and DC.
So Mark, give me an example. one of these young people call and say, "Hey, Mark," or "Hey, Choppa, I need food, man." What do you and your wife do when you get a call like that?
Honestly, there's quite a few ways I would go about it, and of which I do go about it. A lot of them have cash out, and I'll send them. I'm like, okay, what you need, and I'll try to direct them the best way to make it last. Because I
Yeah.
can, of course, send you, $200, $300 every time you call. So I'm like, hey, a lot of times my magic number is $30 because
Mm-hmm.
it's so many of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And you have a family, which we're gonna get into.
yeah, yeah, I have my own children, and of course I have to feed as well. But I'm like, okay, $30. Okay, you can go get some, this, that from the grocery store. All right. I need you to go to the grocery store, not go to McDonald's, and
Mm-hmm.
that's 2 meals from McDonald's, and you're done.
Yeah.
But to make it last, and just try to teach them some money management as well in the process.
What so I want to get into your family because you're a very dedicated husband, a very
Thank you.
dedicated dad. Everywhere I see you when there's an event, Mark's wife is always with him. If you look at
Absolutely.
his Instagram, and Mark, what's your Instagram, by the way?
Mark Chopper.
So make sure
Uh,
you guys follow him. And if you look,
yeah,
Mark always has videos with his kids, with his
yeah,
babies,
yeah,
taking them shopping, dad, girl, dad going rollerblade. I mean, just all kind of stuff. The guy's
yeah.
super dedicated. How do you
Got a dad
find how do you
this
find
evening.
time, Mark, to do all of that? I mean, how do you find time to be a husband, to be a dad? Does that take a toll on your marriage? I mean, because your wife is always there, or is she just like, we're in this together. We're gonna fight this fight together. What toll does that take on the family when you're in many ways you're a big brother to so many? You're
Yeah,
almost like a dad to so many. I mean, man, that's a
yeah.
lot of hats to fit, Mark, for one man.
Well, actually, it actually it actually builds more of a bond with my family because I include them with everything. We
Mm-hmm.
do everything together, like the community work we're doing. My children are there. When we go feed the homeless, my children are there passing out plates. And they're never forced, but they are requested, of course. They are requested, and a lot of times, sometimes my girl's gonna do what they want to do. Whether they, Daddy, I'm not. Hey, not gonna force the issue, but a lot of times they will, come out and help their dad out and just be there and just be involved. We made everything we're doing family oriented. The
Mm-hmm.
brand, Chopper brand, is a family oriented brand. Is an African American father, husband, and brother, and a son. So we try to include the whole family.
Yeah.
Even my has been in my skits.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
um,
I've
yeah,
seen.
yeah. So we just, we want to represent that, that family who's who's gone through, the certain things in the urban community, who loves on each other and who still tries to uplift his own community. So
And thinking about the uplift part, you
yeah,
talk a lot about fatherhood. You talk a lot about being a good
yeah,
husband.
yeah,
Why is it so important to you to showcase that example of fatherhood and again and being a husband? Because you talk a lot about that, but from such a beautiful way. Talk a
yeah.
little bit about that, about like what does it mean to you to be a husband, to be a father?
Well, I mean, it means everything to me because of the fact that I want the young people to understand that, you know, building your own family is one of the most beautiful things that you can do in this life. And that family is the people who's going to be there for you in unfortunate situations. They're
Yeah.
going to be you through thick and thin. So I just uh try to get that point across. And of course, there's always been a stigma with black families and the father's not in the household.
Mm-hmm.
And so we
Mm-hmm.
on that say, hey, you know, we 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 thick as thieves over here, and we strong. Mother, father, children, we strong. You can't come in here and try to divide and conquer either.
Do you when you think about your wife
Yeah.
and you think about being a provider, being a protector,
Yeah.
what is that to you? Well, like explain what that looks like to you.
All right. Let's talk about my wife.
I know you love your wife, boy. I know you do.
Well, my wife is she has always been a warrior. All right. And she has always been the backbone of anything I had going on. We've known each other since we was in high school. So you can just imagine everything we have gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like every time I would look up, all my friends gone, everybody gone, but my wife, she coming. She there. She coming. Whether it's though like a lot of the teen trouble I've been into growing up 16, 17 years old, getting
She was
locked up.
there.
My wife was coming to get me. My wife was, I don't know how she was coming up with bond money at 16, 17 years old.
But she figured it out, huh?
True story. True stories. You know, first person I would call is my wife. And the most honorable thing I can do is reciprocate that same love to her, to make sure that she's loved and make sure I'm there for her. When she calls me, I'm there. Or when she needs me or needs anything. And most of all, make sure that she is protected at all costs.
You were talking about Mark when you were talking about some of the young people earlier. You were talking about how sometimes the moms, the mothers, I should say, can have drug problems or some issue that takes them out of the home. A lot of times, most of the times, if it's usually just the mom without a dad.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the importance that you have seen in your own family and life of being a dad and the presence of a dad and how that has guided your children.
Oh, I believe a father teaches certain qualities in the child, like strength, showing showing a child to get back up. When you get knocked down, it's okay to get knocked down, but you better get up, because I'm the one that's always gonna tell my child, get up. Get up. You need a mental day, take a mental day, but tomorrow you want to get up and we're gonna push through it. It's just certain things like that, and just to teach them certain things a man can only teach a child. Like our skills, that's something that's important. That's life-saving information.
It really is.
That fathers instill in their children, and there's a lot that I can't really say a man, because it's my relationship. Our relationship is different. I'm the nurturing dad. I'm the I'm the father. You can talk to. You can talk to.
Right.
She don't want to hear about it. All right, and that's it. That's it. All right. So I'm our relationships our dynamic is different, for sure. And I believe it's in every household is different, but it takes two parents, to make it work.
But that seems to be important to you, right? Like the importance of that two-parent household, the importance of the father involvement and engagement. That seems to be a really critical thing to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably it's one of my most proudest accomplishments in life. Just being a dad, being a husband. Before I got on the show, I had on the other shirt. It said, it said an excellent Black father or dad or something. It said something like that. But my wife got me that for Father's Day like 5 years ago. And I still have that shirt. I love the shirt, because it's important. It's important to represent, especially because black men, we get such a bad rap when it comes to fatherhood.
So yeah,
So when
talk a little bit about that. Why do you think that is?
I mean, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, do you really want to get deep into this? You
I
know?
want to get deep into it, Mark. I mean, hey, we're having an
Okay,
honest conversation here, so
okay,
let's get into it.
okay. Well, when you're bribing the mothers with, welfare and child support and money to get the fathers out of the homes, and we're dealing with already struggling couples. We're dealing with couples who are struggling to survive. So
Yeah,
to divide and conquer them, I mean, that's what the government has been doing. That's
yeah,
what's been going. That's what's been happening, and taking the fathers out of the home. Even when you go get child support from the mother, you cannot. I mean, for the father, you cannot have the father in the home. Or when you go get assistance for assistant living, you cannot have the father in the home. You have to sign a doctrine. You have
because
to
it's income capped.
prove.
It's based off of income. So you
Yeah,
got two incomes, you're automatically you don't qualify.
so if your love ain't that strong, hey, pop, hit the road, Jack. And a lot of
Yeah,
times, men, we don't we don't know how to handle our emotions. You know, we're already allowing our ego to take over, and we're not, neutralizing the the attacks that's coming at us. We don't even see it. We can't even see that far. So I mean, a lot of us
mm-hmm.
can't see that far. We
do,
can't
do,
in agendas.
do you think, Mark, that if we were to start focusing more as a community on building up marriages in our community, building up healthy relationships between man and woman, healthy families, healthy fatherhood. You think if we showed more examples of that, that people would follow?
Absolutely, absolutely. I say it all the time. We need more leaders, not rappers, not singers, not social media activists. We need more leaders that's going to get boots on the ground and also represent, walk the walk. You
Mm-hmm.
know, show to you, because these kids, they see right through you. If you just
Yeah.
talk and you're not living what you're talking, oh yeah, they will not follow.
Yeah, no,
So
that's true. And do you think if those examples did exist, to your point, what difference do you think that will make for communities like ours across the country if we had more of those examples for people to follow? And again, healthy examples, because you can be married and it can be unhealthy marriage. You could have
yeah,
a father involved in the kids' lives, and he could be the worst dad in the world, which is why I keep putting emphasis on the word healthy, because I think that's very, very important.
that's
If
very
we
important.
If we had more of those examples, Mark, what impact do you think that would have on, I don't know, the future of our community? Like, let's say, if you had a magic wand and you could say healthy families, mother and fathers, healthy fathers in their kids' lives, what impact do you think that would have on the Black community?
It would shape our future differently. It would change the way the world looks at us, as for one, and for two, we will be more stronger as a community, because we got men and we got fathers in the household. We are, and that's just something that we've been missing for
Yeah,
years.
no, I
And
think you're right.
I don't want to say it because I don't want to take away from any of the young Black fathers who are out, with their children. They're in the household because,
Mm-hmm.
I was out last night and I was probably like in one of the roughest areas, and his brother, I always see him. Always see him. I grew up around the neighborhood, Benton Road, and I see him,
Mm-hmm.
his little girl. And I literally see him every time I go around there. Him just being a father. And every time I see him, and I just want to make sure that he understands, like, hey, you're doing a great job.
Yeah,
You're doing
yeah.
a keep pushing. I just see him every time pushing that stroller. So there's fathers that love their children, Black fathers that's in the household and that's doing the best they can. But understand it that they are under attack. Black fathers in the household have been under attack for years and years and years.
Yeah, I think it's important, and I share your concern, and I share your commitment and wanting to change that trajectory, because I think fatherhood is an important thing, and I think that our young daughters need to see a strong man, so that
Mm-hmm.
when they're choosing men for their lives, they know, I'm not taking this. You will
Yep.
respect me. These are the
Yep.
values and principles that I expect, because I saw them from my father with how he treated my mother.
Yeah.
From our boys, they need to know the importance of discipline, hard work, perseverance,
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
respect that's necessary for a woman, because they can say, I know how my mom felt because my dad treated her so well. I want to do the same thing. I want to emulate my father. That is so important, man. Mark, I want to shift gears here a little bit, and talk about some of the work that you're doing in the community, with the Choppa Day that you're working on. Soon you're going to have a nonprofit started
Mm-hmm.
up, in the process of that. I'm helping you out with that. That'll be up and running soon, so people can give in a greater way, and we're certainly going to work together on trying to make that happen. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about Choppa Day. Why is it important, and what impact have you seen since you started it?
Oh wow. Okay.
We got
Um.
a twofer there: the importance and the impact.
Yeah. All right. Let's go straight to the impact.
Okay.
So the rise in black men, black women arming themselves legally
Mm-hmm.
has been increased tremendously. Uh, Numbers don't lie, stats don't lie. We've helped thousands of brothers and sisters get armed legally, get their concealed carry permits, and we also educated young children on the proper way to handle a firearm safely. We taught them survival skills, uh, archery, fun stuff that urban communities usually
Just
you
don't get.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't. Um, but one of the main things, one of my favorite workshops is our de-escalation workshop.
Talk
That is
about
a teach.
that one.
Um, with the children, we kind of go over like scenarios. We make it fun, and we teach them different steps or how to de-escalate a potentially violent situation.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we're talking about our tone, we're talking about our hands, keeping them visible, and just try to teach them steps that they can take to get out of a potentially dangerous situation or altercation.
Mm-hmm.
Because altercations happen. You get in disagreements, and a lot of times it don't be that serious where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Turn into gun violence,
And it can
right?
quickly turn into gun violence.
Growing up, I watched it until this day. I see it. You see it all over social media. Like
Mm-hmm.
that really needs to get to that point. The situations I don't really want to speak on them, but
Yeah, sure,
they've been on
sure.
stuff. Whereas though, like all it needed to take was one person to say, "Hey, it's all good. We're good. We're
Yeah.
good. This is petty. This is petty." So we just try to teach the children that like we gotta control our emotion and we gotta think and move more logical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some battles just aren't worth fighting.
Yeah. Nope.
Um,
Not worth
I
losing your life over, that's for sure.
that's a big thing that we talk about. Every situation, ask yourself the question:
Mm-hmm.
is this your life, or is this worth going to jail? You
Mm-hmm.
know, so
And
I
like you
mean,
said, Mark, 99.9%
it's
of
not.
it's just not. It
Yeah,
just really isn't. Mark, I want to reverse before we move on, because you talked about teaching kids how to handle firearms safely. You and I have actually talked about this, so I know the answer to this. But some people
yeah.
may watch this and may say, "Wait a minute, children shouldn't be." Explain why you teach kids, if they encounter a firearm, how to handle it safely. Walk through that a little bit.
Because I mean, firearms aren't going anywhere. Okay, you might go over their friend's house. They might go over their friend's house. Their parents may have a firearm. Their friends may
Mhm.
have a firearm. Okay, I mean, we just can't act like firearms don't exist. We have to address the issue, and we have to educate them on firearms, on um why firearms are used.
Mhm.
So different factors that come into play. Uh, why firearm is needed in the household, and so they don't end up, shooting themselves accidentally or shooting someone else accidentally. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm a realist. I don't believe that we should just be oblivious to,
Yeah.
you know, firearms are just like, you know, just going to magically disappear. You
And
know,
so your thought process is, and again, you and I've talked about this. So your thought process is, look, if a kid is out in the streets at someone's house, maybe it's a friend's older sibling may have a gun, something may go wrong. You would
yeah,
rather have that child know how to handle that thing if they ever encounter it
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep
Worst case,
themselves and everybody else safe.
absolutely,
Yeah, and,
absolutely.
I think that's really important. I remember. So, guys,
And,
Mark had a Choppa Day last year, and we went, and I got to meet so many people. I mean, just men, women, kids, young people from every walk of life you can think of. And I think I told you this, Mark, because I commented on this before. One of the things a lot of people kept saying because of Mark. I said this when we did the video on you. Everything was because of Mark, because of Mark. And one
yeah,
guy said, and this guy still messages me on Instagram. We talk every once in a while. I'm not going to say this brother's name, but every once in a while he'll reach out and just say, "Hey man, how you doing?" Blah blah. And we'll chat. I'll ask how he's doing, and we'll talk firearms. And sometimes he'll ask me some political questions because he saw something in the news. But he
yeah.
said to me, he said, before he met you, he wasn't certain where his life was going. He was going in the wrong direction. And he said, I was trying to get out of that. Because I wanted him to say this on camera and he wasn't comfortable with it. And I respected that. But he said, I was
Mhm.
going in the wrong direction. Some kind of way he met you. And he said, and
Yeah,
ever since then, he's been going in the right direction.
yeah,
He's working with his kids now.
yeah,
I think he got a new job now from the last message I got from him a couple of weeks ago on Instagram. He's just like, "Hey, bro, I just wanted to let you know I got a new job now." And I was like, "Man, congratulations, dude." I was like, "If you need anything, let me know. I'm rooting for you." But he pointed to his association and I guess mentorship from you. When you hear stories like that, Mark, whether it's from third person, from someone like me, or from the people themselves, like how does that make you feel to know that you're doing something that is that impactful?
uh, it's just more confirmation. You know, I'm walking in my purpose, and I want to be an example. I want to be an example, and my family, we're not perfect. All
Mm-hmm.
families argue, fight, um, but I want people to understand that you know that's what's most important in this life, because it starts in the household. It starts
Yeah.
within your household. I remember when I was out downtown. This was about a month ago. We was out.
Mm-hmm.
We was feeding the brothers and sisters downtown,
I saw those videos. Yep.
and it was a very beautiful experience. And someone said, "Oh man, I had to watch my kids." I said, "See, that's where it starts with, brother. You're doing your part. It starts in the household. It starts with your own children. It starts holding your own children accountable, make sure they're holding themselves accountable. So they're just not out here doing, things they shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
starts within the household. And I just I feel really good about it. I
Look,
feel really
man,
good.
I there's a little bit of your background that I kind of want to get into, but I'm gonna save it for the live radio show.
All right.
When you were so Mark, just real quick, you did
Okay.
some bodyguard work. Just give a quick synopsis of what happened.
Okay.
And I mean real brief because we want people to tune into the radio show on the 25th, this upcoming Saturday.
All right. Just for the record, this Saturday, I would definitely be disclosing a lot of facts that I never before. on this situation, because I always give a brief synopsis. I don't know if you realize that, but I don't ever go into like exact
See, I
details.
never realized that.
Yeah, because I mean it's the same. It's the same. I give like the same sequence of story because this is
Yeah,
my truth.
yeah.
But I leave a lot out because it's a lot. You know, it isn't just that, you know, four guys jumped out of a black truck, and ski masks with guns, and, you know, pointing guns at me and other associates. Um, it's a lot more to that story. You
And
know,
by the way, you were, for the record, if you're wondering, Mark used to be in private security. And so he was hired by an establishment in DC to provide protection. You know, sometimes off duty cops do it, sometimes security guards who may work for other places or have training or run their own businesses may do it.
absolutely. Yep. And of course, one of the guys ended up dying. I defended myself and defended people on the street, and of course, after that, it was me against DC. It was me against the United States of America.
And that's all we're gonna leave y'all with. We're not gonna get into details. But I'll say this: Mark is here, so that clearly tells you that was justifiable. But man, look, I'm a big fan of yours, and
big
I
fan of
have every time I've been given an opportunity to elevate what you're doing, I've tried to do so because I just think it's so important. I think people in our community need to be aware of you and to see that example, just as they should me. But I think we come at things from two different places. I think there are different, as you said, that we all the leaders and whatever your thing is, need to really sort of be together to try to lead the community overall in the right
Yep.
direction. But I also think people outside of the community needs to be aware of you and your good deeds. Mark, we're going to wrap here, but where can
Okay.
people follow you if they want to contribute to the good work you're doing? Because I know for a fact it is not cheap. Just give
Yeah.
us all of those details.
You can follow my personal page at Mark Choppa, MarkChoppa. That's on Instagram. Also on Instagram, you would like to contribute, or you would like to just kind of just be a part or support, or however you may see fit. You can follow the Choppa Community page. It's on Instagram at the Choppa Community. THECHOPPA Community. CUMMUNITY.
Yeah,
The
you see,
Choppa.
Mark had to spell community the black way. I was wondering if he was going to say that or not, because I know how it's spelled because I follow both pages. And I kept wondering, I was like, is he going to be proper here on the show? Or is he just go tell people what the real spelling is? No, I love it, man. And look, guys, I highly recommend that you follow Mark. I mean, he has 115,000 followers on Facebook, on his Facebook page. I think Mark almost at 100K on Instagram. The YouTube page is growing. I mean, he's doing good work, whether it's in the firearms space of teaching safe firearms usage and education, and trying to work on efforts and methods to decrease gun violence by teaching our young kids, okay, if you encounter a gun, this is how you be safe. Teaching young people, particularly our young men, on how to de-escalate situations. Like Mark said, 99.9% of things don't need you to take it to 100. You don't, because either you're going to go to jail for life or you're going to end up dead. It's not necessary to take away from people who love and care about you. It's also not necessary to add into the negative harm that's already occurring in our community. And so he's doing everything the right way. Follow him. If you like this interview, again, make sure you drop a comment beneath this video. Subscribe to the Shermichael Singleton Show on YouTube. Hit that notifications bell to get notifications of our upcoming videos. We're going to continue to have conversations like this with people like Mark and so many others who are making a difference in their community, but in lives of people all across this country and potentially even the world. Also, you can listen to the podcast version of this by downloading the Stitcher app, also Apple Podcasts, or wherever you may find your podcasts. I ask that you subscribe to the Shermichael Singleton Show on those podcast formats. You will absolutely love the conversations that we're going to have. And remember, every Saturday on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you can listen to the Shermichael Singleton Show live from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to hear from you, so make sure you tune in, download the SiriusXM app, and engage with us. I want to hear from you. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Shermichael_. Again, that is at Shermichael_. I'm going to put all of these links, by the way, beneath this video on YouTube. And hopefully we'll have some of this stuff written up in the descriptions on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you may join, you listen to your podcast. And remember, Mark is going to be with me this February 25th, live in studio from 2 to 3 p.m. So if you want to engage with Mark, if you want to call in on the show, because we're going to take live calls, I want you to tune in. SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, February 25th, 2 to 3 p.m. Shermichael Singleton, the one and only Mark Choppa. You do not want to miss this conversation, because I got a feeling you're going to walk away being impacted. You're going to walk away with a different perspective, but you're going to walk away, most importantly, with hope about tomorrow, because you're going to know that there are still people out there trying to do good work. And Mark Manley is one of those people. So Mark, my friend, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sherm. I really appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is Shermichael Singleton. Take care.